what I did is, about, I don't know, 6 years ago, I was doing some research in how we perform, how we do things. And what it is, we have a basic theory in the mind that the brain operates. Some people call it the left brain, some people call it the right brain. I'm going to just teach you about the conscious mind and the subconscious mind. They're basically the same thing depending on your education, what you've learned. So personal best, as you see here, achieving your mental strength. What is personal best? Let's think about that a moment. It is the unconscious mind habitual habit pattern that creates your ability to do anything. Getting dressed to leave the house. Do you think about that? No, you don't ever go, oh my gosh, it is Friday, I better wear clothes today. You're going to wear clothes, aren't you? So the thought process of the unconscious competence and the unconscious confidence is what builds the subconscious mind. It's 88% of your brain. So when I started researching personal best, it became kind of a, I really wanted to learn as much as I could to help people so they can achieve it without a lot of worry and hassle and stress. So what I did today, and I've used the same presentation, so it's similar to what I've used before, because it's the basic things that need to be gone over for you to perform at your peak level. And that's what you're here for. This is the opportunity to get instructions, the opportunity to learn, the opportunity to what? Advance your personal best. So as we do that, by achieving that, we're going to create what it looks like. In your paperwork I gave you a copy of the PowerPoint. This time I chose to make them in larger pictures so you can actually go home and remember what I'm saying by looking at these activities of what I want you to do. You also have this little, looks like a little business card, and I'm giving you all of my dressage, equestrian, MP3s. These are the things I'm going to teach you about how to be your personal best. You open it up like this. The reason I'm doing this, because a lot of people told me years later, oh, I didn't know that that was a USB. So, on here you can download my MP3s. It's a gift from me to you. And on there I did put the book, Power to Win. I also gave you one. The Conscious Rider, Be a Winner, Self-Discipline, Gaining Concentration, Peak Performance. A special one I made called Personal Best, the Freestyle Relaxation, and Self-Discipline. They're all on this for you. What you do, the easiest way is to go to bed at night listening to it. You fall asleep. I put you to sleep. Someone said, are you that boring? No, I actually relax you and you get better sleep. So it's really good for your mind. What it's doing is going to help you build your subconscious mind personal best. That's our goal here. So I want you to look at this brain. Think of everything you see, you hear, everything you feel, everything you taste. Everything is neutral till it goes into your brain. Isn't that an interesting thought? None of y'all have the same hard drive. So think of your brain as a hard drive like a computer. If you don't know something, you don't know it. If you know something, you know it. But it's in your brain. So what we know about the brain is you have your core operating system, your values, your beliefs, which you learn from your parents, you learn from the people around you, from teachers, from experiences. You have your language, whether you speak 1 or 2 or 5 languages. In there are your memories. So I want you to think your memory bank. Personal best is developing your unconscious competence, which is your skill, your memory bank. You memorize how to do a test. You memorize how to do something. It's just not in that 12% that I'm going to go do it. In there are your decisions. How do you make a decision? You want to ride? You made that decision. Did you grow up on a horse? Do you really love riding? Do you love horses? Do you love the skill? Do you love being good at what you do? So in the decision-making process, we also have time coding. Time coding is based upon judging what and when you're doing something. So what we know about it is we create all of these different programs in the brain that we react to, we respond to. And also in there are your meta programs. Meta programs are wearing clothes to leave the house, driving on the right-hand side of the road in the United States, just programs that we know we live off of. What I like to present to people is your personal best becomes that unconscious competence that you do automatically, that you breathe and you manage yourself and you do what you've learned. So I like this because you get to see how it creates a reaction and a behavior. Now, if you have stress or if you're nervous, what does it impact? It impacts your behavior. It impacts your breathing. Have you ever been nervous and realized you hadn't taken a breath in a few minutes? Because what happens is the body has the unconscious mind, fear, flight, fright, freeze mechanism for survival. Your brain's really doing that to save you. But does that work in the ring? No. So we want to create a way the brain can actually have a balanced way to breathe and to do what you're choosing to do, because your communication between you and your horse is much better if you're relaxed, isn't it? You get a better performance. So your personal best starts creating that internal dialogue of an autoresponder. I added the next slide just because I have fun with it. Think about your brain like a tree trunk. There's a ring of every year of your life. Birth is in the middle, and a ring of every year of your life. So when you have a thought, it goes ding, 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 ding back in and brings out a memory. Do you remember your first pony or your first horse? Do you remember a particular trainer that you loved or you didn't like? Do you remember certain things get attached to your behaviors and to your learning? So I like to look at that because what we use, one of the tools I use is hypnosis. I'm a hypnotherapist in Nlp Neuro-Linguistic Programming, and that's what these MP3s are. They're hypnosis, but it's just relaxation. All hypnosis is self-hypnosis. I cannot hypnotize somebody for something they do not want. Trust me, people would like that, I think, sometimes. But it is the realization that you go in and out of hypnosis all the time. Have you ever worried about something? Anybody here ever worry? It's a common thing we do, especially in today's world after what we've experienced the last 2 years, right? So worry is where you make that mountain out of a molehill. You're hypnotizing yourself. So I am a facilitator to help people help you make molehills out of mountains, because our brains need another voice besides the one we hear all the time. If I'm working on something, I have somebody that hypnotizes me. I can do most things myself because I'm so trained. I've been doing hypnosis for 45 years. So in that mindset is you're learning how to use your own brains. I want you to realize who you are, what you choose to do, and how you choose to do it is a choice. I mean that. You can decide to increase your personal best. You can decide to do whatever you want to do. Using your brain, learning how to use it is a huge tool. And that process is kind of understanding. So I use the tree trunk theory in that your past is behind you. You're creating the next ring of your life to live in. How do you want it? What do you want to be? What's your aspirations? What are your goals? What are your outcomes? So I put together some things that I believe are important to achieve personal best. First one is about what you eat. All the studies that I have done and gone and trained with several top nutritionists at University of Nevada in different places for high-end athletes, you need protein for your brain to work. Protein. So in this slide, I tell you premierprotein.com. The only reason I put it here is because there's a really good calculator in there to find out how much protein you need. Do you ever ride your horse without feeding him? No. Do you know horses need protein too? Their food content is a certain percentage of protein. But we've learned in the brain functions better with protein. If you have a lot of carbs, in the middle of the ring, your carb can drop you. So you want to be careful and to balance it. I am not a nutritionist, so this is just sharing information that I've learned. What I want you to know about this is to find that good program for yourself. What works for you? I do use the Premier Protein Shake because it's 30 grams of protein and only 160 calories and 1 sugar. And it's in a self-contained little container, and I can take it with me anywhere. It's easy. Reason I'm going over this, if you make it hard to do, I hate to share this with you, but you probably won't do it. Like I got up at 5 o'clock this morning because I moved to Port St. Lucie, and it takes me an hour and 20 minutes to drive here. So guess what I had at 5 o'clock this morning? My protein shake, because I could do that, get ready, and get in the car. It's easy. So I want you to think about making sure you look at how you do things. Now, some people say, well, I can't eat before I show. My son's kind of like that, so he uses and he drinks coffee, so he uses the shake as his creamer in the coffee. So he gets at least 15 grams in the morning. So find a way to get it in your system. Now, this is important. Now, what I'm teaching you is about the subject matter. What I'm giving you is a way to release it. On your memory stick, there is letting go of fear. What is fear and anxiety? Is it real or imagined? Think about what you fear when you go in the ring. Is it real? Or did your imagination make it bigger than what it really should be? Sometimes our imagination will create an extra fear, an extra anxiety, especially about showing. It's like the performance anxiety. Who's watching? Oh, I'm going to be judged. Oh my gosh, I might see my old trainer on the other side of the ring. What we do in personal best is put you in your lane, doing your personal best, the right thing at the right time, all the time, so you are just focused on that. So we want to release that anxiety and fear, find the cause, and release it. Now, in the book I gave you, I take care of some exercises that you can do yourself. Imagine your fear, your anxiety in your hand, the palm of your hand. Make it bigger than this tent. Just imagine. And then shrink it down to about an inch and blow it away. It works. Unbelievable. It's just one of those things the brain will let you do because you're giving it an action to do. Otherwise, when you worry about the fear, you make it bigger and you never shrink it. It just stays big in your head. So then when you go down center line, what is the main focus then? Your anxiety and your fear are causing what? The brain does what? A thought creates a physical reaction. The natural laws of the mind are you are what you think, a thought creates a physical reaction, and your imagination's stronger than knowledge. Isn't that, to me, when my imagination gets out of kilter, I go, wait a minute, is that real or imagined, or is that, I've got a creative mind. And sometimes my imagination kind of goes on steroids. So I have to like neutralize it and say, I don't have anything to fear. So learning how to let go, and where did you feel it? Do you feel it in your chest? Do you feel it in your back? Do you get stiff? So relaxing and learning how to let go of it is the main core operating system of how you can do it. And just to give you a little added bonus here, you get to do it by listening to the MP3s. This is what helps you become that elite athlete. The next step, once you start letting go of those things that you fear or anxiety or stress, the negatives, let's just label them the negative. Are y'all positive thinkers or negative thinkers? Did you wake up this morning and say, oh, today's going to be a great day and I'm a very special person and I get to enjoy it? Or did you start with your list of worries of what you have to do, when you're going to be there, or what your list of things? Which one did you wake up with? I want you to start thinking and waking up in the morning with solutions. What's a solution? Focusing on the solution, not the problem. Now, this is a little science class for you for a moment. We have learned that the brain, if you think solutions, will produce solutions. Now, since I'm teaching you this, you're going to be amazed at how many things you see out there that companies are using the word solutions in their titles or subtitles because someone taught the advertising company about this. But I'm teaching you because I want you to advance your skill. If you focus on the solutions to what you're doing, you're going to create the mindset of what it looks like, what it feels like, and what it is you need to do. When you do that, you develop and your brain will find the solution versus the problem. The brain will do that. It's almost like an automatic response. So when you were working and you're doing all these things you're learning and you're not getting something when you're writing, the trainer's teaching you something, you're just not getting it. Are you a visual learner, kinesthetic learner, or an auditory learner? If you're a visual learner and the trainer keeps telling you how to do it and you're not getting it and you're getting stiffer and stiffer, politely ask, show me. If you're a auditory learner and you're watching it and you're not getting it, you got to have someone tell you how to do it. Give me the instructions. How many people in here know what they are? Auditory, kinesthetic, or so do you know when you realize that, is it easier to learn since you know that? It is. It makes life a lot easier, to be honest with you. What I will give you the thought process with, by listening to these MP3s, you start becoming more of all of them because your brain is very smart. It starts picking up on it. But it's still good to know what your main focus is. In any industry, in any cultural mindset, in any place we go, do we take things personally? Are we worried about what the other person thinks about us? You know, we are taught to really, follow the rules, do everything, which I agree. But when we really worry that that person over there might not like me or might have something bad to say about me, what am I doing? I'm taking it personally. And they've done these studies. Most people only think about the other person a couple minutes. They're too busy thinking about themselves. And we're wasting a lot of energy and time worrying about that, aren't we? Think about having all that time to take care of yourself. And we have to learn, especially showing, especially going down center line, it is just about you and your horse and your skill, your personal best. Your personal best isn't what everybody else is thinking. Yes, I know the judge is important, but still you cannot be focused on that. You got to be in your lane doing what you do, right? So I want you to really think about catching yourself when you're worrying about what somebody's thinking or worrying about who you see or what you do, and avoid taking it personally. Be who you are. And I'm going to say that really strongly. 21 years ago, I came out and started a practice as a hypnotist. And I'd go speak at certain things, and I'd stand up, and people go, "Oh, don't look at me." And I'd go, "What?" "Oh, hypnosis, it's a dirty word. You're going to make me do something or say something I don't want to." Well, that's just not true. There is not a hypnotist or a therapist on the face of the earth that can make you do something you do not want to do. And number 2 in this story, that's not my intention. As some of y'all know, hypnosis saved my life 45 years ago. My intention is to help people live the best life they can live, and using these tools. That's what this is about. So you learn these tools, you implement them, not only in your writing, but in your life. Be happy. One of my favorite statements is, every day better than the day before. Doesn't mean today's bad, it's just I'm going to every day be happy. So if we want to avoid taking it personally, we have to let go of the fear of what somebody else thinks. Because remember, they have their own hard drive. We don't know who programmed it. You have to take control of what you have. In most sports, I'd say all sports actually, and in life, do you have a role model? Do you have a good role model for dressage? Someone you really like? You know that if you go to, in today's world, this is great, YouTube, and you can find what you want and get it and memorize it. I remember I had a cheerleader come in and she told me she wanted to do her backhand spring tuck. So I'm going, what's a backhand spring tuck? But I couldn't let her know I didn't know. So I said, could we show me a good one on YouTube so I could see what it actually was? And I hypnotized her to do them, and she did them. It was great. Use YouTube, use the tools you have, and choose a role model. Choose a role model and create that mental image of what you want to accomplish. If you're working on a new test, see it, imagine it, visualize. The best time to do that is before you go to sleep at night, before you hit play and listen to me. Because what your brain's going to do, we call it monkey see, monkey do. We're all monkeys. Our brains will emanate, copy, and do what the brain is trained to do. So if you see it the way you want to do it, you're going to advance your skill. So you create the mental image, and some people write it down, some people watch it, some people just memorize it. Be careful when you're watching other people how they do it. Pick your role models by the average of doing the movement you want the best. I do sporting clays. I don't know if anybody knows what that is. I go shoot these little orange things that fly around the sky. And when I shoot with women that aren't very good, I can't watch because I'll step up and do exactly what they did. So I like to shoot with people that are good shots. It increases my ability. So focus on the ones you want to be like. Learning self-discipline. How many people think you have good self-discipline? It's learned behavior. And you know, in being equestrian, there's several wonderful articles written about this. You are a higher level of self-discipline trained because you have a horse. You have to make sure that horse is fed, at the barn, take care of him. You have a lot of training yourself to be responsible for that. I remember I hadn't had a horse at my house in a while, and I've got a couple of horses in my barn. This was a couple years ago. And I kept dreaming I forgot to feed them. Why? Because I was out of the habit of getting up and taking care of the barn. So we create those internal habits by what we want. So self-discipline is an attitude, a routine. You got to know your routine. You got to know what you've got to accomplish and create the time management. I was teaching somebody yesterday about time management. It's chunking your time, but it's knowing how much time it takes to go from point A to point B. So, boy, aren't we lucky we have these things? I mean, you have to do is ask her. So I asked her with Port St. Lucie to here. I've never driven here, so I found it was an hour and 20 minutes. So I figured out my timing. I like being everywhere 30 minutes early, so I did my timing. I set my alarms, and I woke up 15 minutes before the alarm went off and turned the alarms off, got up, so I could be an extra 15 minutes because I want to make sure my equipment worked. So I planned it. So self-discipline is the focus on your own self-talk and your own ability to manage yourself. Self-discipline. We have so many things that we have to be self-disciplined with your riding so you can be that. So you have the right equipment, you're dressed properly, and you are prepared in time, because in dressage you have a set time to go down the center line, don't you? You just can't show up when you want to and go, okay, I'm ready. You've got to be there. So to me, learning self-discipline, putting a positive attitude spin on it. Being positive, I'm always on time. I'm always on time. There's plenty of time. Everybody feel like there's plenty of time? Your brain will produce that if you allow it to. We'll have a little hiccup. Excuse me. I've got a little thing in front of me. Remind me later about Adobe. Thank you. Computers, internet. And then it went to Adobe. All right. I'm not installing Adobe right now. Look how easy that was. The internet sent me Adobe. Wouldn't it be nice if the internet sent us stuff? Probably one day, but sometimes I say I wish I could slide this into the brain and just go copy. But we can't. We have to do the process. We have to do our homework. And learning the self-discipline is the process of what we want to do as... I'm falling apart over here. Equipment is not working. Sorry, guys. I don't know what went wrong, but I'm going to use that little arrow and do it myself. Let go of jealousy and judgment. Any of y'all have any jealousy or judgment? What do we judge? What are we jealous of? Somebody else has a different horse, somebody else does this. If you could eliminate out of your mind the judgment of what you're doing or what's around you and the jealousy, I promise you your skill will increase incredible. Because why? One negative takes 4 positives to override, and you need the 5th positive, to be moving forward. That's a lot of work. Why not just not have the negative? That's your self-talk. So when we think about doing that, we're going to try to increase the internal dialogue of managing your what? Thoughts. So we're going to create an attitude of gratitude to override the judgment and the jealousy. So think about walking out of this room today and stopping, avoiding judgment and jealousy of anybody and creating that attitude. Build that positive self-talk, that positive imaging of what you want. Build that positive ability of what you can do. Remember, your mind is adjusting to everything you see, everything you do, and everything that you are. And what we know about that is we have to build it. Do you realize that happiness is contagious? And we've got a big, huge piece of equipment coming over to visit us. Maybe I'll use this now too. Can you hear me better now? So what we want to know is that you're going to be in control of what you allow your mind and your body to do. You're in control of that. Creating an attitude of gratitude is the contagiousness of being happy. Do you realize every time you smile, you release endorphins in your brain? And endorphins help you learn, help you perform, help you do everything. My daughter pointed out to me one time I was speaking, and she kind of said, "Mom," and I said, "Yeah," I kind of wondered why she was interrupting me, and I said, "Yes." She said, "Mom, remember to tell everybody a fake smile produces just as much endorphin as a real one." So I say to you, I didn't make this up, I learned it from somebody else. In the morning, when you get up, look in the mirror and smile at yourself. And if you don't feel it, make yourself do it. Yes. Start your day off with strengthening your self-image, strengthening who you are. It's up to you. Nobody else can do it, but you can. Because elite athlete mindset, the personal best you, is about managing yourself, managing who you are. So the next part of this, I really want to go over really strongly. Releasing all limiting beliefs. Do you have any limiting beliefs? Do you have any? Do you know what a limiting belief is? It's a belief in your brain that keeps you from what you want to do. I wrote these down. Not thin enough, not tall enough, not young enough, old enough, not enough. What is that? Self-judgment, right? I'm sure none of y'all ever do that, right? Really, if you do, I want you to know what you're doing. Think about it, because this chart right here is very important. Your belief, I want you to really know this chart. Your belief creates the internal mindset of what you are and who you are. I want to look at it, but I can't turn around and get the microphone on me. So you define your limiting belief. That is how you think. It influences how you act. So if you're not tall enough, then every time you're working on something and you're doing something, you might feel that if you were taller, you could do it better, right? If your legs were longer or whatever, but you can't change your physical. You've got to be who you are and accept that. But the act then defines the event in your life, which what happens, that reinforces your belief. I had one lady come to me. She says, yeah, my trainer told me I had no natural ability. I had no athletic ability. And I'm like, really? And you ride dressage and you're at Grand Prix level and you're doing this and you're doing that. That limiting belief was created by somebody else in her brain. And she was athletic. She was really a good dressage rider. But that limiting belief limited some of her ability to advance. So sometimes sit down and think of, what are your limiting beliefs? Right now, with all your learning here, I want your brains to be open and absorbing everything that you can absorb, and learning from everybody that you're going to be taking lessons from, and all the wonderful things you're being taught here. Be that sponge. Learn it. Go back and go over it. You know, I have a short period of time to give you some information. I went through, and I'd like to give you just a formula. The book, read the book, and the MP3s. We're reinforcing knowledge. Remember this statement. What you know is what you know, and what you don't know is what you don't know. That's profound, isn't it? So if you don't know something, say, I don't know it. Teach me. Teach me. I want to know. So knowing how your beliefs create your actions and reactions and define you, what ones do you have? Which ones are stifling you? Neutralize them and then find the replacement for them. Because that will help you achieve your personal best. Now, choosing a purpose, making a plan. A pre-ride routine. We all have like our scheduling. I gave you my pre-drive to Wellington routine, didn't I? Told you with the alarm clock. I told you I had my protein shake. You know, it's programmed in. I'm really good at following it. Your pre-ride homework. What's your pre-ride homework? It's what your trainer has you do. It's what you planned on doing. It's what you're getting ready to be aware of how you're going to get there. What's your routine on a show day? Think about that. Sometimes people just stick an earbud in and have their phone, and they'll listen to my voice a little bit before they go on the ring. Or some people post that they go on their text on, they lean back and listen to an MP3 just to get the relaxation from my voice. What is that mindset that you do? Always do a dress rehearsal. Always do a dress rehearsal. Now, a dress rehearsal, sometimes, and certain people know, it is getting dressed at home, putting your boots on, putting your hat on, putting everything on. So let's say you got some new boots. Are you going to wear them for the first time at the show ring? No. Another dress rehearsal that works really well is mentally. Mentally. The mental dress rehearsal is part of the MP3s also. But you can do it. If you see someone doing what you're going to do, imagine, visualize, and pretend it's you. It's you. What you're doing is you're telling your brain how to do it. You're telling your brain what it's going to go do. With my shooting, you know, I get the 2 clays go up, so you plan where this one's going to be, then you plan that one. Before I say pull, I make sure I dress rehearse. Do that for your writing, mentally and in real life. Then the other part of this is really going through the way the brain can associate. I'm going over self-discipline again and again and again. Because the new habits that you're learning here in thinking and behavior and speech in order to improve yourself, sometimes sit down and write them down, go over your notes. We're visual people, we're auditory people, we're kinesthetic people. Feel it, acknowledge it, know it. Because what we want to do is develop that internal dialogue inside of your mind. We are creating that internal outcome for you to achieve what you want to achieve. We all have goals, right? I want you to think of your goal as an outcome. Imagine what it is you want to achieve. Remember, somebody came up to me one day and said, you know, I decided to go up to McLean Ward and say, McLean, what do you think before you show? How's your plan? He says, well, I just plan on going to the ring and winning. I plan. And she said, well, what if you don't win? Well, I come close most of the time or I win. If I don't plan on winning, then I haven't told my brain it can. So what does that mean? Your personal best in dressage is that score. So if you have 10 movements and you want to advance it, you don't think of the overall score, you think of getting 1 more point here, 2 here, 1 there on your different movements, and they'll add up to a higher score, right? So chunk it down to what you want it to be, and it'll give you another opportunity to raise that score, that level. And then if you have a problem, if you make a mistake, what is a mistake? All it is a lesson. Take all of your mistakes and start calling them hiccups. Hiccups go away. Let your problems be hiccups and let them go away. Don't focus on them. Avoid focusing on what's wrong and let it go. Now, did you hear me? I said don't, and I changed it really quick to avoid. Does anybody in here know why? Because your brain doesn't hear don't or not. Don't think about the black horse. What are you thinking about? So really think about eliminating don't and nots out of your vocabulary and say it the way you want it. If you want to stop thinking something, use an actionary word of avoid, erase, delete, eliminate, and start practicing that thought in your self-talk, creating that mindset. Because the main thing I want you to walk out of here with today is what you think is what you get. What you think is what you get. Remember, the natural laws of the mind are you are what you think, a thought creates a physical reaction, and your imagination is stronger than knowledge. Give yourself the gift to learn. This is knowledge. This is about your skill. This is about your ability to be who you are. And remember, you are a very special person. There is no one on this earth exactly like you. Live every day with that strength inside of you. You have a dream. Go after your dream. That's what you need, that's what you want, and it'll happen. Your mind is adjusting to this. I remember a couple years ago, someone raised their hand and said, what was my dream? And my dream was to be standing here talking to you, to be able to share to y'all, to be able to give to y'all, to be able to acknowledge how good everything can be and how you can learn easily, automatically, and naturally. It's up to you. So that's in the brain that I've taught you. Right now, we're talking at 12% of the brain, your analytical, rational, reasoning, thinking mind. Your subconscious mind is your hard drive. It's 88%. It's literal. It's your long-term memory, your habit patterns, and your emotions. In there's where you have your unconscious competence and your unconscious confidence. That's right. so your mind can adjust to everything you need to adjust to. And what we want to do is open your mind to all that opportunity, because you can do it. The can-do mindset is strengthening who you are. Be that you. Be that you. So when we think about the brain, we are able to help program your hard drive. So sometimes I do just feel like a computer programmer all day. I really do. But it's what you want. It's what the person wants. It's what we can reprogram to make life be what you want it to be. What do you want? When you walk out today, what do you want? To sit in that saddle, breathe, and learn as many things as you can learn this week, right? And implement them and use them. So right now, I know we have an online course that I've done. It's called the Power to Win course. And I was giving out some gift certificates for it, so I'll give those. I think I have one for everybody. So you get that, and go online and you can see what it is, and it's a whole course. It's actually the whole book done in auditory and a visual video and everything. So coming to conclusion here, does anybody have any questions? Anybody think about hypnosis or think about your brain? Anybody have any questions? Got to be one in this crowd. We're wide awake, aren't we? One? Anybody here ever been hypnotized? Anybody ever think they could be hypnotized or can't be hypnotized? Anybody ever thought they can't be hypnotized? You go in and out of it all the time. To think about that. It's a tool. Just like taking a writing lesson. It's taking your brain and helping you expand what you need. Question in the back. Where are you based out of? I am virtual. I had an office in Palm Beach Gardens and one in Lake Worth, and I was virtual already with half my clients because they travel all over. Like yesterday I had somebody in Spain, someone in Germany, someone in California, so I'm all over. I do Zoom, FaceTime, and phone. A lot of people, after they met me, they just do phone. They say they don't, because their eyes are closed half the time anyway, so it doesn't matter. But we do still have an office in Lake Worth. There is one of my employees that's still there. My daughter is a hypnotherapist too. She's taught to different groups before. She's virtual out of Colorado. So basically virtual. But she's had a baby, so she's a mom and does hypnosis a couple days a week. So that's what we do. Any other questions? Yes, Johnny. And I didn't plant her back there. I didn't know she was going to do that. But thank you. So anybody think of a question? Yes?
How do you go about hypnotizing someone? I don't know that much about it.
Okay.
I'm curious.
Do you ever daydream?
Yeah.
Okay. You're relaxing yourself. So all it is closing your eyes. Actually, I'll do a little sample with you. Everybody ready? I want you to imagine, this is just a fun. I want you to close your eyes for a moment. And I want you to imagine you're in your kitchen, whatever kitchen you're in. And imagine that on the table is a cutting board and there's a knife. I want you to walk over to the refrigerator, open the refrigerator door, and I want you to imagine, visualize, pretend. You open that refrigerator door and there's a lemon sitting there. It's a fat, juicy lemon. You know, you pick it up and you hold it in your hand, you can feel it, you can even smell it. You know what lemons, put it on the cutting board. and slice that lemon and smell it. Look at the juice that just ran out on the cutting board. Now pick up a piece of the lemon and bite into it and smell it. Smell that lemon. It's freshing. It's so good. It's a little sour. Now open your eyes. Anybody smell it? Anybody taste it and swallow? Anybody feel the kitchen? You got an image of the kitchen. You remember your refrigerator? I just hypnotized you. All it is following some instructions and using your imagination. What we do with what I do, since I'm trained in helping people get rid of anxiety, stress, depression, whatever negative things that have happened, life events, is use the tools of therapy through the relaxation to help kind of rewire how you think about it, like her doing her ones. She had a limiting belief in her brain that said she couldn't do ones. But she could ride and do everything else. So what I did is I just relaxed her and I helped her eliminate and erase that limiting belief, and we did an actual role model, and we actually got her brain to imagine her doing ones. We can pretend. I don't know, when I was a little girl, I used to be a mermaid. I'd swim in that pool, put my two legs together, and I was a mermaid. I was pretending. So we get the brain to do that in the saddle, and then we used a role model as she was relaxed, because what happens when you relax, when you go to sleep? You go into hypnosis, go into sleep. Right now we're talking a beta level of the brain. When you pray, meditate, do yoga, you go into alpha, then sleep is theta and delta. With hypnosis, relaxation is just like sleep, but it's guided relaxation. So that's where you're going. What we did with Johnny is we just gave her a role model of doing ones, and then I placed in her imagination she was sitting in the saddle and doing the ones. Now, the part of the equation that we have to understand is we use some other techniques, Nlp Neuro-Linguistic Programming, which is simple. Neuro-linguistic, the neurological pathway of language, words, programming, what you're programmed with. So we placed in her mind that and anchored that every time she sat in the saddle, she would breathe, and then I would anchor in every time she did the test, ones were easy. I got rid of the limiting belief that ones were hard. So we got where the brain could adjust to that and told her that she could do it, and then she went and did them. I hear this all day long. I had somebody last couple weeks ago, and I had him just on Wednesday, and he's lost 10 pounds, and he says, I guess this is working. You know, it's just changing the unconscious mind, because I cannot make anybody do anything they don't want to do. Plus, you've only met me for a little while. If you haven't met me before, I promise you it's never my intention to make somebody do something they don't want to do. I wouldn't be in business, and I can't anyway. So it's just that relaxation. And just remember, all hypnosis is self-hypnosis. Because I get people that sit there and go, well, I can't be hypnotized. I go, okay. I keep talking. Then I close their eyes, open, close their eyes. They follow my instructions, and they relax. Then I open their eyes at the end of it, and they go, wow, I've never relaxed like that before. It's just relaxation. So it's the preconceived limiting belief of what hypnosis is. We want to neutralize that because it's not true. Do you believe everything you see on TV? I've heard there's a movie out that really gives hypnosis a bad connotation. But they're acting. They're acting. They're getting paid to do all that. So they get attention from that mindset. Good question, thank you. Did I answer it?
Yeah.
Any other questions? Yes? You'll see change after one. I give everybody the MP3s to reinforce it, because you're changing how many times you've done it the other way, how many times. We're overriding it. And I guarantee most things in 4 sessions. A lot of my athletes that are traveling all over, they decide when they're going in, and we work on that next score. We work on whatever the list of things, like last night, girl usually I have on Mondays, she was last night. She says, here's my list. She's a jumper rider. Anyway, so here's my list. And you learn what you're working on with your trainer, then you can tell me, like Johnny did, it was her ones. She knew what she needed help with. So that's one session. The reinforcing of it is a couple more. So yes, good question. So I guarantee most things in 4 sessions, then we advance into other things because it taps into a lot. Good question. Anybody else? Well, that concludes my story. I want y'all we got to pass these out. I'm kind of stuck to this chair because I've got a mic that's stuck behind me and I couldn't move a minute ago. So let's pass these out. And any questions, my phone number's on here. You can call me. You're more than welcome to ask me questions and my cell phone's not on here, but I think it's on here. Well, no, but my email address is on here. Anybody has anything that they want to ask, they didn't want to ask here, and you're more than welcome to call me. What are they supposed to be going on to another program next? We're right on time. I'm always on time. Anybody think that all the time? It's amazing. One little quick ditty I'll teach you. Do you know when you're driving a car, you memorize the speed limit. And if you're always 10 miles over the speed limit, no matter where you go, your brain sees that in your peripheral vision, you're always 10 miles over the speed limit. Or if you always do the speed limit, you don't go, oh, there's a speed limit. Your brain sees it and automatically does it. I thought that was a pretty cool study, you know? That's how great our brains are. So anything you want to learn to do, you can do. Have fun today, too. Remember to smile, even if it's a fake smile. And wear your mask. Be safe.